Hello and welcome to Unprofessional Engineering. My name is James.
You got Luke.
Luke, today we are looking at a year in review.
I kind of like these compilation episodes we do, like top 10, best of, you and I kind of going head to head on what we think.
Is that because I'll just talk about mine the whole time and then you'll just throw a couple in there?
Basically.
I like that part too. I love to hear myself talk.
I love to hear you talk too.
You're obviously in the spirit of the holiday, so that's pretty cool.
Is that Poon India calling again?
It was Uncle Troy calling us.
Oh, okay.
All right, so let's start with number 10. Do you want to start or do you want me to?
So I had a really hard time coming up with 10, but I'm gonna do 10 to 1, and then I'm gonna use the other ones as honorable mentions at the end.
For everyone who's listened to us before, that's how it's always worked in the past. So I like the way you're going.
So my number 10, and keep in mind this year in review is technology, engineering, that kind of stuff. So
that kind of stuff.
This sounds weird, and it's not super related to engineering, but it's definitely technology. My number 10 is Amazon buying Whole Foods, and them changing the way people buy groceries, the way you order things, the whole online experience. I mean, it's literally like it's going to be like IoT for like day-to-day grocery shopping.
That did not make my list, but that's very interesting. But I don't really have anything to say about it because I don't go to Whole Foods because I shower.
But you
and
but you're an
Amazon's
Amazoner,
cool.
right?
Oh, I love Amazon. It's great. It's like my favorite.
And
ever.
I literally have a list of a whole bunch of Amazon things in my honorable mentions. So
oh, do you?
The fact that it's a technology company, the thing that most struck me about this one, and the reason it's on here, is the fact that it's a technology company that bought a grocery store. There's something pretty crazy happening there.
So it really hasn't happened yet, but
No, they did buy them.
No, I know that, but the cool tech part hasn't happened yet.
I'm not sure. Well, there are there are Whole Foods and Amazon stores where you literally walk in and take things, and there's RFIDs, and it automatically charges you. So you just throw it in your bag and you walk out. So you kind of feel like you're stealing.
Very cool.
So that's my 10.
We've started doing curbside pickup, which is pretty great, but
I was going to say lazy.
Yeah, it's just pretty lazy.
The right word,
all right, so that one's on the list.
Okay.
We'll see how it ranks up there. My number 10 is do not disturb while driving on the iPhone.
Oh.
So I don't use it because I like to text and drive because I live wild.
Yes, you do.
But I think it's a great thing. Talk about great safety feature.
Now,
I think it should be mandatory. Oh yeah, it just came out.
Or it was just an option.
No, I
think
it was a new option added to the phone this year.
So it's obviously like the accelerometer, the GPS knows your car's in motion, shuts it off.
Yeah. Okay. And it doesn't actually shut it off. It gives you the option to turn that on and off.
Okay.
And I think it should be mandatory moving forward on all phones.
I think it should be mandatory, or I think there should be a technology that knows when you're hands-free. So like a phone should not work unless you're hands-free. Does that make sense? So like if you're in a car, you obviously still want to be able to take a call for an emergency or make a call, but I think there should be a way to know you're hands-free, and there's got to be a way to do that.
I'm sure. There's smart people out there. Not us, clearly.
Exactly.
But that's why we don't work at Apple. All right, how about number 9?
Okay, my number 9, and we're sticking with the iPhone. Well, not the iPhone, but
smartphones.
This is the watch.
Oh,
so
dear.
This is.
Didn't you just tell me how stupid this watch is, and now it's made your list?
It's.
Okay, we're going to add it here just so I can make fun of it later.
I know.
Go ahead.
So I was just at a party this past weekend, and there was a whole bunch of snobby doctors. There goes our doctor audience.
We're really, between Whole Foods and doctors so far, we're really
sorry
doing
to my brother-in-law and all his friends. I'm kidding about the snobby thing. But literally every single person had the new watch on. Sorry, my computer I thought was on.
This is a great year in review.
Yes, it is.
That really needed to happen.
I feel like the iWatch is just changing, or if that's what they call it, it's changing just the way people do things. Like now people just kind of like lift their wrist and they talk to
see
people
what time
while they're
it is.
looking at their wrist. The new one, the fact that it has a plan and doesn't need to be tethered to your phone, I think it's really, it's literally like what you think of when you think of the Get Smart, he was talking into his shoe or his phone, and we were totally
What
wireless.
was his name?
or
Max?
Maxwell
Maxwell
Smart.
Smart, yeah.
But the whole idea of actually having a wristwatch that is almost doing what a phone does, they're so close to getting rid of that phone. I feel like that has to be on there.
Okay. Well, it's on the list for
Thank
me
you.
to scratch off later.
You're the worst.
Number 9 for me. Ooh, that was a good year in review. You're the worst as well.
It
Good
was.
job. Trending in Ireland.
I'm sure it is.
My number 9, the East Link Bridge. Have you heard about this?
I feel like you did way more research than I did.
That is unusual for
It
us.
is
Usually
unusual.
you're the one that's
I'm usually
all
the
about
research,
the research.
yeah.
Yes. These are train tracks that float.
I did see that.
Oh, you did?
I did see it whenever I was
super cool.
Whenever I Googled 2017 engineering and review.
Oh, and that came up?
That came
yeah,
up.
it came up on all the lists I Googled as well. But it's only going to be completed in 2023. But basically, they're steel platforms that have flexible bearings that let the train tracks stay in line. Because obviously, with heavy stuff going over them in the water, they're supposed to be.
Oh, so they float on. Oh, I thought the float meant that it was on the ground and it could go on uneven ground. So these actually go.
They can
on,
float everywhere.
On water. Okay.
Everywhere.
That's pretty cool.
So by 2030, 50,000 commuters a day will ride a 148,000-pound train at full speed across the water from Seattle to Mercer Island, Washington. So just think how that can change the way people commute now and travel. Yeah. People in San Francisco no longer have to leave the office at 3 o'clock to catch the ferry. They'll just be able to get on the train.
That's the best one. Oh, I got to leave early, the ferry. I got in late, the ferry.
So the reason, and so it's cool, and that's really
like
neat.
that.
But the reason I added it is because I just feel like train technology hasn't really done a lot
At all.
recently,
At
and that's
all.
really a big deal
That's pretty
for commuting.
impressive. I like that.
All right, how about number 7?
My number
Wait, no,
eight.
number 8.
My
I'm not
number
good at
8.
the maths.
So this is kind of a gimme, just considering the field that you and I are involved in, what our day jobs are. But I got to go with generative design.
Generative design. Tell me more.
So basically, generative design is you basically have a computer program that basically decides how the form and shape should look for a particular component. So think of chairs and swing arms on motorcycles. You've seen tons of examples, tennis shoes, and that's the thing. So generative design has been around for a little while, or at least the technology's been there, but you're seeing it everywhere now. So you're seeing it in tennis shoes, you're seeing it in furniture, you're seeing it in automotive, you're seeing it in motorcycles. Everything, literally, like housewares. I've seen like generatively designed like picture frames that are all like organic looking. So the fact that 3D printing is so pervasive now, and literally you can have a printer at your house and you can just print these organic, generatively designed shapes.
It's difficult to say.
It is. I feel like that's got to be in there.
I think it's pretty neat.
And
Yeah,
everybody
that's a
and their
good one.
mother seems to be doing it. So every
I don't
big
think
engineering
my mother
and
is
software
doing
company seems to
generative
be doing it.
design.
Well,
Maybe her Christmas cookies will be this year, generatively designed.
that'd be
That would be
interesting.
great.
I like how you say it.
Generative?
Generatively designed.
Yes.
You're very articulate.
Thanks, I try my best.
Okay.
All right, I like that one on the list.
Okay.
My number 8, Google Assistant. You know about Google Assistant?
Is this the same thing as Alexa and all the other folks, or no?
So yeah, it's like what's used in all of that stuff. But Google Assistant in April became the first virtual person,
Okay.
that has the ability to differentiate people. So if you're talking to Alexa or
Okay.
whoever it is with your Google Home device,
Mm-hmm.
and you say something, they know that Luke is talking. If your wife says something, they know she's talking. If your kids are talking, they know that they're the ones. Or I
Oh, so
guess
like-
if you have access to it. But up to 6 different people, I believe, is how much it can tell the difference of.
I like that.
That's
I
really
think-
cool. I mean, and big deal. Like, that doesn't change my life in any real
But that's
significant
pretty
way.
impressive,
but
though.
from a future technology standpoint, I think that's huge, as it's going to be able to run an entire office just based off of our voice commands,
Yeah.
no matter how many people are in here.
I
I
like
think
that.
that's going to be amazing in the future.
Okay. I'm on board with that one.
All right, before we get into number 7, I think this is a good time to take a break for a word from our sponsor.
Oh, I love when we hear from our sponsors.
Yes, not Whole Foods,
Not Whole Foods.
not doctors.
And not doctors
Yes.
this week. I didn't mean they were snooty. I was just, you know how people say that.
I
was saying that tongue in cheek.
I know how people like you say that, yes.
Okay.
So we don't have a sponsor this week. I know, it's surprising. But we do have a shout out that I want to give. And this is to my good friend Clark, who is a long-time listener. He's all caught up. And last night, he made it very clear to me that you and I know nothing about cars, and that we shouldn't even bother doing episodes about cars.
But that's the best part, is that we don't know.
That's what my other friend said.
That's why it's funny.
Exactly. That's what my other friend said. He's like, you're missing the point. And Clark was offended by our lack of knowledge about automobiles.
No.
I assume it was the supercar episode, which really was more just talking about really expensive, fast vehicles. But
yeah, I mean,
he wasn't happy.
Other than like putting gas, I did do brakes before though. I mean, I've put gas in a car and changed oil and rotated tires, but other than that, I really don't know much about cars.
Well,
so
that's where my shout out is.
Okay,
this week.
Here's what I say we do. I say we have Clark on the show someday.
I like it.
And I feel like he can be our, like, we'll have like a reporter in the field. So if we're doing anything automotive,
He's
Clark
the guy.
steps in and he does our reporter in the field stuff for us.
Well, he was like, I don't see why you didn't go find someone who knows more about it.
There we go.
And
We
I was
use
like,
Clark.
well, now it's you.
There we go.
But anyways, if you have any complaints about our episodes like Clark does, please email us at unprofessionalengineering@gmail.com.
The emails are going to pour
Absolutely.
in because we said if you have any complaints.
Also, please subscribe. If you do one thing this holiday season,
Yes.
subscribe to
Yes.
Unprofessional Engineering. It will be like an early present for us.
Santa Claus wants you to do that.
He does. He
I
actually
feel like
told
he
me
does.
that. Yeah. And give us a review on iTunes.
That'd be great.
Yep. All right, moving on to number 7.
Yes.
What do you got?
My number 7. So, you just mentioned the. I'm doing mine a little out of order now because
Okay.
we're kind of hitting on the same ones. But I feel like it's the Dot, the Echo, Alexa, and this is basically it's taking the Internet of Things and literally bringing it to people in their homes. So I don't know if we want to call it IoT. We want to call it smart devices. And when you're
Let's
making
go
the
with
list,
IoT. Let's just call it that.
yeah, and the reason why this is because literally, I mean, every time I'm watching TV, every time I've been to people's homes, and they'll be like, hey, Alexa, add milk. It's just like what you see on TV, their grocery list. They just yell it out, and they get their grocery list. So bringing IoT to the masses in what I see as a useful way, I think is, well, maybe I don't agree with it. I think it's pretty interesting use of IoT.
I like that. IoT seems like a great one.
Yeah.
Great buzzword.
Because
too.
usually when you think of IoT, it's like, oh, I'm monitoring a piece of equipment on my shop
Right.
floor,
Yep.
or I got a sensor on my car that tells me, when I got to do something to it maintenance-wise. But the fact that this is like day-to-day, you and I could use it?
On my honorable mentions list, this seems like a good time to drop this in. There's an IoT device that I found that I think is awesome.
And why is it only on the honorable mention then?
Because it's not that awesome.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like we're sending something to Mars awesome.
I got you.
I don't know if you've heard of it. The Tasty One Top. You know Tasty? Like on Facebook, they do all those cooking videos.
Yeah.
So they made this induction cooker, like one burner.
Okay.
And it's linked into their recipes as well. So it will tell you when you need to add vegetables. It will tell you like the next step in the recipe, and it will also measure the temperature of the meat you're cooking to keep it perfectly done. So that part's cool.
I like that.
But the other part that I really like is that it's so accurate that if you're doing something like baking where you're melting sugar or you're tempering chocolate, you have to keep the temperatures really consistent, and it can keep things exactly where they need to be.
I like that.
So that's why it's going to be in
So
my
just
household.
for people, so you're going to get one, you think?
I am, yep.
Interesting.
I just think it's really cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good honorable mention.
Especially because I have a gas oven, and
Yeah.
so my range is really difficult
It
to
is.
keep the temperature controlled.
It is.
All right, so number 7 for me.
Yes.
It's a specific robot arm. They call it Panda. It's a replicating robot arm. But I'm talking about robots and automation in general as
Okay.
my number 7. And so this arm is a $12,000 thing, and it is smart enough and agile enough that it can create clones of itself. It can assemble clones of its arm. Plus, it works well with humans, which is cool.
Okay.
So we're going to work side by side with this arm. And if you happen to get a little sloppy and get into its like comfort zone,
Okay.
it shuts down because it doesn't want to like bash your hand
Oh, the
and
whole
like break your
robot
fingers off.
the
Right.
three core tenets of
So
robotics.
in theory, this robot is still not our enemy.
Okay.
But I mean, how cool is it that we now have robots that are so good they can build more of themselves, and that they can work alongside of us doing our jobs for
I
us.
feel like this is like Skynet. We said this last time we talked
Yeah.
about robots. So I had robots. So I'm going to say that was my number one. So I'm going to have to make an adjustment.
Okay.
And the reason why I had robots at number one, and this is robots, AI, automation, all that stuff kind of put together. Did you see the robot that could do the backflip?
Yeah, I just saw that.
So
unbelievable.
so
we
you-
talked about that
We
one
did.
in our episode.
So you take a robot that can do a backflip and make another robot and AI.
Yeah.
That's basically the T1.
Yeah, we're in trouble.
Yeah, I feel like we're definitely in trouble.
Yeah. Good thing we're going to be heading to Mars soon, which will help.
You and I personally, or
I
you mean
think-
us collectively as a
Well, I got an email saying that we're on the short list.
nice?
So that's good.
Okay, we're gonna basically check and we're gonna be like you should send the doves into the caves to check for gas to see if the doves die.
They said that we know so much about cars that it's going to have to
Burn on Clark.
All right.
Okay.
So yours was
Yeah.
robots and AI.
Yeah, that was my number one.
So we're skipping your number 6, I guess, and it'll be number 5.
Yeah.
Is that right? All right. So my number 6, the Tesla Model 3.
Ooh.
You have that on there?
It's in my honorable mention.
Oh, good,
But
okay.
I'm okay moving it up because hindsight, I think it should be much higher.
And again, like not super groundbreaking necessarily in technology, I would say, when you think about the other Teslas that are out there or other ideas for electric cars. But the idea of having a $35,000, $40,000 fairly attainable electric car for the masses, assuming they ever start making a decent number of these,
Yeah.
is really a game changer. Like the next big step in reducing our dependency on fossil fuels.
So I had 13 as I listed as year of the electric car Tesla.
Okay,
so,
sure.
So the first thing that happened, so we'll kind of lump these together, maybe just Tesla electric car. So the Model S P100D did 0 to 97 kilometers per hour in 2.8 seconds. It's the
Is that like
fastest
0 to
production.
60?
I think so. The fastest production vehicle ever recorded by Motor Trend.
Yeah, that's nuts.
So the fact that these electric cars are in almost all ways better than their internal combustion counterparts, and then you throw in what you just said, the Model 3. The problem is, I just heard it this morning, I think, on the Today Show, or maybe it was last night. They get 18,000? It was either one. Whether it's 18,000 or 1,800 requests a day, or
1,800 orders each
it's
day.
1,800
Yep.
a day. Yeah, it's 1,800. So
That's
they get 18.
nuts.
So you'll never be able to buy a Tesla.
And they ship west to east, so the West Coast just keeps getting all of them. So that's a bummer for me.
yeah,
but
so
that's okay.
That should definitely be in
Maybe
the top 10.
Ananda will get his soon. I think he gets it in a year
Oh,
or two.
he ordered one.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, a while ago. Yep.
Okay.
All right, number 5. What do you got?
For number 5, and this may have been around last year, for me, it's all of those 360 interactive images and videos that you see. So I think it was...
Like on Facebook?
Yeah, so you see them all over Facebook. You see them on Periscope and on Twitter. So these are basically those
I
images.
do not see them on Periscope.
No.
I don't know what that is.
I think that's the Twitter live feed. But basically, these are the 3D or the 360 cameras that allow you to do, basically virtual walkthroughs, literally connected to your iPhone.
Okay.
And I never noticed these before last year, and I have to admit, when you see these
They're kinda
cameras,
neat.
and they're in places like Kilimanjaro or on Mount Everest, or they're at the beach, and you can literally just kind of pan and zoom and like walk through and follow these videos and images. Really, really interesting, and that also ties in with VR. So I'm kind of putting these together. I'm putting 360 and VR in one big bucket, or don't you think I should? Because I have VR in my list too.
We'll put it all together because
Okay.
our list is pretty good and we're going to have trouble eliminating.
Yeah.
So let's just add those together. I like that. Going along with that, and
Okay.
why I'm saying that as well, is because number 5 on my list is the Oculus Go.
Okay.
And I call it out
The Oculus Go? I never heard of
Yes.
this one.
Well, so you know VR. I know VR. We do that at work sometimes. And it's always these amazing designs that you can like open a car door and sit inside, and it's great. But you also need one of us following you around, holding the wires
Yeah.
to make sure you don't trip, because you really do get completely immersed. The Go does not have those wires.
Bluetooth?
And it's super cheap. It's basically a wearable computer that operates entirely on its own. So it's
Wow.
like $200. So I'm
Okay.
guessing it's not like we're looking at a 40,000 part Mustang,
Yeah, yeah.
but you're still able to do VR with this headset, and you don't need me following you around, making sure you don't trip over a wire.
Because who wants you following them?
Right.
First of all.
That's true. But it's like another next step in VR.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be huge. It's going to mean I don't have to ever get off my couch and I can still climb a mountain. It's going to be great, but I don't want to do it if I'm tethered to a giant workstation.
I'm
all the
with you.
time. Before we go any further, on to number 4, let's take a break for this week's Luke's Terrible Engineering.
Okay, so I have to be upfront and honest about this.
This is true.
I did not come up with this one.
This was a James Terrible Engineering.
This was a James terrible invention, but I don't know if it's all that terrible. So we can maybe debate this for a minute here.
It is terrible, but go ahead.
It's basically a pair of scissors that has a pizza scoop or whatever it's called.
Like a triangular, like pie.
So you basically
server.
can cut the pizza and serve it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's all. If you're making pizza, obviously, if you're a pizzeria, you're doing it with a roller or one of those big
Yeah.
pizza cutters. But if you're at home, I don't. Why would you have 2 utensils? I don't think it's all that bad.
I think it's terrible because I don't think the scissors are going to work well. I don't think you're going to get under the pizza nicely, because if you're making a pizza at home, it's probably kind of melted onto the pan already. I think it's just going to tear it up and like make it terrible.
So you think this is one of those as seen on TVs that's
That's
just horrible.
exactly what it is. Now, if you get a pizza that's delivered to you, you shouldn't need it either, because it's their job
It
to
should
cut
be
my
sliced.
pizza, which it never is. But
And how
at
many
least
people?
not
How many
well.
people make pizza at home too? So to your
I
point,
do.
but like what, like once
Not
a month?
often, yeah. I don't know if it's even that much.
Okay.
But yeah.
I want a pizza oven.
Oh, a pizza oven
It's
would
called
be.
it's called an Uni 3.
Uni
Check
3.
it out.
I like it.
I'm getting one.
All right, sounds good.
Alrighty.
Let's see here. Number 4. What do you got?
My number 4, and I'm kind of moving things
Yep,
around
yep.
because of the list. My number 4 is drones, and I know drones have been around for a while now. And the reason
Yeah.
why they're high on my list is it kind of goes to the same thing as the electric car, the Tesla, the 3. They're accessible now. So drones were really expensive, and if you wanted a good drone that was easy to fly, that had an HD camera on it, you had to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. And you can literally buy on Amazon, use Google, camera drones or whatever. You can literally buy for a couple $100 high quality, easy to fly drones with HD streaming cameras. So I think it's a big deal because not only can you use them for personal use, you got all these bloggers and all these people that do drones all the time. And I just saw it yesterday. Drones are the new selfie stick.
Oh, I
So
can
what
see
you're
that.
doing
Yeah.
is they have these smaller drones that you basically it understands hand gestures and it tethers to your
That's cool.
iPhone or
But not your
whatever.
watch?
I don't know. And it may not tether to the phone, but basically you're taking selfies with a drone.
Gotcha.
So
That's pretty cool.
I like the accessibility, the price coming down, the ease of use. Like the last drone I had, I smashed into a wall. in
Yeah,
about
that's how they
7
work.
seconds.
Yeah.
So
I did have the DJI Spark, a specific drone,
Okay.
on my list because, like you're saying, they're now attainable
Yeah.
and affordable, and you can just go into Whole Foods and buy them off of Amazon, apparently. And
right next to the cabbage.
right, and super functional, easier to fly
Yep.
now. And that one in particular is really good quality at still expensive, but not a super high price.
Well, not for someone like you, expensive.
I mean,
for
when
me,
you're,
they're expensive.
when you're making our sponsorship money, yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So my next number 4, we're really different this list.
Yeah.
But I have the first floating wind farm, the Highwind Scotland.
I saw that.
Did you? 5 turbines. I got it. I had to focus on how to say it. Turbines.
Turbines.
Nearly 400 foot deep water off the coast of Scotland. Makes enough power to power 20,000 homes.
I like that.
And so this is kind of like a test, we'll say. They're
Okay.
testing it just off the coast to see how much power it can make and how sustainable all of this is. But now they're looking to put these further out into the ocean, and that means higher winds, more power,
Yeah.
and you don't have to see them from your house anymore.
I don't see how this could be a bad idea in any way.
Me neither.
I'm so surprised.
Unless
that,
somehow they can't keep them stable enough to keep them from sinking.
I just mean like hydro and solar. You know, we did the episode, we talked about some hydro power and solar. I just don't know how
Right.
it's not more pervasive and hasn't surpassed some of the fossil fuel stuff that happens nowadays. Because it makes total sense that you have this completely renewable energy resource. And I get we want to keep people working in certain industries, but the idea of not really investing in solar and wind and hydro, yeah, I
Agreed.
yeah.
Number 3.
My number 3, and I'm moving all my stuff around. I am going to go with additive metal. Wow, I said that word. Additive metal printing. So it's again been something that's been virtually unattainable. But the idea of doing additive manufacturing or 3D printing,
Right.
But being able to do that with things like titanium and steel. And I saw this video the other day where it was actually a welding torch that was actually following a CNC path. And I think we've
cool.
seen those
Yeah.
where it was making like a propeller. So the idea of metal additive printing, I feel like that's not the last step, but it was a really big
It's an
step.
important one to make 3D printing useful or additive useful.
Yeah, because if everything you make is a plastic or ABS, or even if it's a durable component, it's eventually going to break if it's not made out of something like steel or titanium or some
Right.
type of metal. So,
I do have a titanium generatively designed additive manufactured bottle opener, which is pretty cool.
that seems really expensive.
It was. Number 3 for me. And I like that you go really high level trends, and
Well,
I'm
that's
going
'cause I'm a
very
high level-
specific
I'm a high level
things.
kind of guy.
Yeah, you're not really about details.
Nope.
Nope. The NASA Mars Insight.
I saw this one as well.
Yes, it's awesome. You don't even realize how much of this cool stuff is going on every
Mm-hmm.
year. Anyways, you can only shoot stuff to Mars every 2 years, it turns out. Did you know that?
No, I
Because
didn't.
that's when the planets line up, so it's its shortest distance.
Yeah,
which
I
makes
guess you
sense.
don't want it to be as longer than it needs to be, right?
Right. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. But this one is extra cool because when it lands there, it's not going to drive around and get stuck in craters and get lost.
Okay.
It's going to just hang out in one spot, and it's going to smash a probe more than 16 feet into the surface of the planet to study the planet's thermal history and the geology.
Very
that
good
was
word.
good.
I feel like they need to go a little more than 16 feet, right?
Well, I don't know if that's super feasible for them at this point.
Yeah,
I feel like sending a robot that can hammer something 16 feet into the ground from a bajillion miles away is a pretty amazing thing.
It is, but for me, it's like you're sending a robot to Mars. That's amazing. You can't go more than 16 feet.
Well, maybe it depends on the size of the robot, right?
Okay. Yeah. I'm with you. It's amazing either way.
Okay, well, I feel like you really took some of the wind out of my sails there.
Sorry, buddy.
Okay, that was mine. Number 2, go.
My number 2, and I'm all out of order now because
Sure.
we didn't do this the way we normally do. So I am putting
Because of you. Go ahead.
the Tesla truck.
Oh no! I just saw that it's going to take like the power of for the semi.
Yeah.
It's going to take the power of like 40,000 homes to recharge that thing.
Well, I mean, but it's going to be done with solar power. The idea of transporting goods without the need for fossil fuel, the safety, I mean, all the different things that you get from the benefit of electric powered vehicles and moving that to mass transportation, it just seems like a good idea to me.
I like it.
And it's
And
really
it's
not.
Tesla and
It's really
Elon,
not my number
so-
2. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really not my number 2.
That was
but-
actually an honorable mention that's gotten bumped up.
Yeah, just because we've combined a few
All
things.
right, we need to zoom through these last couples. So
Okay.
my number 2 is a pretty cool one, and I can't really pronounce it like always. Chimeria? Cells that cure cancer. Did you see that one?
No, I didn't, but that
So
sounds amazing.
It's a new treatment that they're working on where they modify the patient's T cells, so the white blood cells, and they add receptors that locate and kill the bad ones. So in trials, 83% of the patients were in remission after 3 months.
Wow.
So if obviously it's not perfect, and obviously it's not perfected to the point that everyone's getting this, but if that kind of
Yeah, that's a great
improvement
result.
can happen, that's going to be huge.
If you're telling me that I have an 83% chance of curing the cancer, I mean, it's like
Right.
it's like a no-brainer to do it.
Right, and since basically everyone dies of cancer, I
Yeah,
mean, like
yeah,
a
it stinks.
ridiculously high percent of people.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah.
that's huge. All right, you're number one.
My number one, and it was in my honorable mention, but it really should be higher, is Amazon opening your front door to deliver your goods. They have that Amazon door lock.
I don't even know what that is.
So
okay.
basically, you know how people like just go up on porches and steal deliveries.
They do.
Right? So
I
what
mean, you
Amazon
do, but I
has
don't.
is they have this lock that you install on your door, and whenever the Amazon guy shows up to deliver the stuff, they go bleep, bleep, bloop. It opens your door. They put the stuff inside. They lock the door. You get a notification that your door was opened and locked, and there's a camera so you can see the people that do this. So it seems amazing. It seems like the next thing that's going to happen, but of course, you know, people ruin it, and they figured out a way to hack
people.
it so they could
Hate
actually
people.
break into your house. And
Yeah.
even if you're putting the stuff in your house, they can actually break in, use the app against you, get in and get out and not even see
Gotcha.
them.
I'm going to give you a few of my honorable mentions before my number one.
Nice.
Halo Top. Have you heard of Halo Top?
It's the
It's like a super healthy ice cream,
yeah, it has protein in
and
it.
it's delicious. It's actually good.
Have you had it?
Yeah, I have.
I've had it. Maybe I've had
Well,
a
you're
bad
a
flavor.
you're an ice cream snob. You also eat like a quart of ice cream a day.
I do.
So
I do. I eat a lot.
You
of
are
ice
not a
cream.
good judge of that. Next, I had self-driving cars.
Yep.
And it was so general, and it's
Yeah.
not really this year, but they keep making great improvements.
Yeah, I like that one. Number one, we got Uber here in Pittsburgh, and you see all the Volvos
Right.
driving around. It's kind of hard to miss the
I actually saw
Volvos.
some other kind of self-driving car yesterday.
Was it an Uber?
No.
Okay.
The Nintendo Switch, so that you can actually have
I like that.
portable video games and console at
Yep.
the same time. There's also a VICI S01 football helmet, which a lot of players are
saw
now
that.
using to
And it's soft.
them safe.
It prevents.
Yeah.
I saw the video where they show their head getting hit, and it's totally.
I think Alex Smith uses it,
Yeah.
and Kansas City's still bad. And then the last one that I was going to say should actually have been a terrible engineering, but
Okay.
it was hot. Fidget spinners.
Oh,
Weren't those things the worst?
my
They were.
daughter wanted one so bad.
And you
we
didn't
bought
get
a
it?
no.
Oh,
we
no.
bought a really expensive one on Amazon. She used it for like a week, and that thing hasn't
And
moved.
then it's done. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my number one, the
Drum roll.
the SpaceX Falcon Heavy.
Yeah, that's.
I
Pretty
mean, I don't know
impressive.
how you can't put that on there. 28 engines firing, lifts with 5 million pounds of force. It's going to revolutionize how we're transporting stuff to space,
Mm-hmm.
lifting satellites, putting stuff on the space station, traveling all over the place. It's amazing.
The reason
and recovering.
the reason I didn't list it was because we had just way too much of the Musk in our list this
Hey,
year.
when you're good, you're good. All right, let's go through this and see where we
Can
land.
I do my last honorable mention?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's the Musk again,
Oh,
and it's
then
the
definitely go
solar tiles.
Oh, those
So
are cool.
that has to be. So the fact that you don't have to have these ugly solar panels on your house, you can just get shingles that
Those are
have
good.
that have
Yeah.
the solar receptors in it, and it's a real thing. Don't know how cost effective it's going to be, but that should definitely be in the top 10, maybe honorable mention. So
So I've already removed the Apple Watch
I'm with
and
you.
the door lock thing that can be hacked and people can break into your house. That
Yeah.
doesn't sound like something I need.
No.
Let's see. Man, do not disturb on phones seemed so good, but there's so much else going on.
I feel like if we don't put the Mars Insight going to another planet like in the number 1 or 2 spot, I feel
Okay.
like we're wrong.
We'll put it up there as one of them. Mars, Insight, and I feel like we have AI and robots and
We can
automation.
combine those all
Let's just
together.
call that robots
Of death.
of death. Yes, that's good. Let's see, what else do we have?
I feel like the electric car has to be the Model 3. I feel that
Okay.
has to be like 3 or 4.
Okay, electric cars in there. So we had the Insight,
We'll get rid of the Tesla
the
truck
Tesla
because
truck's off. The Falcon Heavy has to be on there.
Yeah. Anything space travel related's got to be in the top 10.
Yeah. Let's see here. Generative design's really good.
Yeah, it's
and
everywhere.
IoT. Does IoT fall in with robots of death? No.
No, it doesn't.
I
Because
say we
IoT.
put IoT and generative on there.
Yep.
Okay.
So what do we got?
Let's see here. So that was IoT. We have generative. I think it's funny because we've covered a lot of these in our topics.
Yeah.
I'd say the Google Assistant kind of falls in with IoT.
Yep.
So let's
I think
keep
we need
that
to
in there.
do not disturb on the
1,
iPhone
2,
for
3,
sure.
4, 5, 6. Do not disturb.
And that probably needs
on
to be in the top 10.
iPhone. Yep. And let's see here. I like cancer-killing cells
Yeah.
and 3D printing with metal.
Yep. I think that's a big step. So what are we at?
And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I think we need to add.
So we did that one. We did this one. We did this one and this one. We could do solar tiles.
I think we do solar tiles because
Okay.
that's pretty big for consumers.
Solar tiles. All right. So in no particular order, we're going to say we have Mars Insight, Robots of Death, Electric Cars, the SpaceX Falcon Heavy, IoT, Generative Design, Do Not Disturb on the iPhone, Cancer-Curing Cells,
Metal 3D,
Metal 3D printing,
and solar tiles.
and solar tiles. You know what? I think I'll write up a blog post and order these in 1 through 10.
In your own opinion, because you write blog posts without my insight.
Well, you
and
can't
input.
write, so yes.
No, I cannot. Thank you.
All right. So with that, I think we have wrapped up this year.
I
What
feel
would you
like
say?
I do too. I feel like there's no need to look anywhere else for what happened in 2017 other than listening to this podcast.
I do feel like we really missed an opportunity by not putting unprofessional engineering as one of the top 10
You know what?
engineering
We'll make it a
things.
top 11.
Okay, we'll put on
We'll
pro
put
right
on
there.
pro.
All right, well, I guess
That's it.
until next year, see you.
Whoa! Until next year.
Right.
Wow. See you, everybody. Bye.